Can you hear me, Jessica?
Yes,
Katie?
we can all hear you.
I apologize. I was watching the Perseverance land. Can you give me, why am I not in video?
You're on Mars? You're with Perseverance?
That's where I was. I apologize. I don't understand why why my video isn't showing.
Well, at least you're not a cat.
Right.
So that's good.
I apologize, everybody. Can you allow me to be a host? Holy cow. I've never done that. It's the first Zoom meeting I was late for. Did we approve the minutes or not?
We're waiting for you to start the meeting.
Meeting's in order. Do we have 7 people? Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dan.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for 11/19?
Motion to approve the minutes from 11/19.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve the minutes in a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none. Jamie, please call the roll.
Andy.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Ed's not here. Greg.
I abstain. I wasn't there.
Okay. Jay.
Aye.
Jessica.
Aye.
John. Not here. Harry.
Aye.
And Scott.
Aye.
The motion passes 6 in favor.
Can you pull down this share and let me, there's no public here for public speak, so I'm gonna go on to look at open projects for a moment.
You want me to pull that up, Dan?
And find I got it. All right, do you want to do it?
Yeah, I can do it.
All right, then I'm going to stop my share. Pull up the open projects, please. I was just going to ask you, the crossouts mean these projects are completed?
Yeah, so it means they're either, yeah, so they're completed and we're either awaiting the final funds to be sent back or a final report, but they're, complete, just, and will be taken off the list as the final funds come back.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on these? Hearing none, let's move on then.
Next on the agenda would be
I just want to do some communication now. Can you talk a little bit about the rental project and where we are with that? I wanted to update the committee.
Yep. So the rental assistance, emergency rental assistance program opened for client applications around the
How many applications did you say, Jamie?
Client applications around the beginning of the month, about 2 weeks ago. And from the Action Pioneer Valley, they've received about 50 calls related to the program. Of those, 18 were received appointments and have started the appointment counseling process. 9 are pending, and 9 were completed. One application is completed and ready to be reviewed by the supervisor of the program. it's off to a really good start.
So as I understand it, it's a two-phase project. The first phase was about half the money and
Yeah.
half the administration fee. And
Yes.
I'm just curious, why did I forget, why did we decide for two phases that way?
That was the proposal that Community Action put in, was that they wanted to start with a pilot program and did not feel that they wanted to be responsible for the full amount at this time. They wanted to see how the program would run, how much need there was before they agreed to take on the rest of the funding.
Oh.
So the contract was set up with them in such a way that when the pilot program ends, if there's still rental assistance funds available, it can be continued, or it can be discussions about what to do with the program, or how to change the program, modify the program to make it better fit the needs of the community.
Okay. So they'll come back to us, or is that something they'll do with you guys?
It depends on what the proposal would be, and how, assuming that the funds get the need and the funds get used quickly, then there'll be no changes to the program, and it would just be extending the contract for the rest of the amount. But if the program, I forget when the contract completion date is, ends and there's still a lot of money left, then they'll make a proposal, and depending on how much that proposal changes from what the CPA approved and the City Council approved, then they'll either have to come back and it'll go back to the City Council and the CPA, or if it's just a minor changes, then it might be something that's done.
I just wanted to tell the committee that the council feels quite good about this program, and if more money is going to be a possibility, they would appreciate that. So we might be asked to contribute more money to the program, but we'll have to see where that ends up. Does anybody have any comments about this right now? Nothing? Okay. Oh, great.
So 50, is that the number of applicants we're at so far? Is that what you said, Jamie?
They received 50 calls about the program. So some of the calls about the program, apparently there's a TV network, Telemundo, that got hold of it. So they started getting calls from people all over the state trying to get finding out information. And then they got just other reporters and things like that. So not all of the calls that they got about the program were actually related to people applying for assistance, or just very preliminarily were not eligible, just on where they were, where they lived.
Do we have a sense of, given where the demand is and the numbers are now, where that was vis-a-vis our expectations or Community Action's expectations for this program?
I don't think that we had any clear expectations. We didn't really know what the need was going to be. We just knew that there's a lot of need, anecdotally, but I don't think we had any idea specifically what the need was going to be in Easthampton.
I feel like in my head, if I remember correctly, I thought we had sort of the amount of money was based on the number of people versus times the amount of money we were willing to give them. And I have in my head 30 people, but I don't know if that's right. That we thought we were going to be helping 30 households.
Well, 3,000 into 250,000, right? So what's that? 3,000 max.
3,000 max per house.
You have 250 left after the administration fee, right?
Roughly, yeah. So there was like 80
or so. I thought I remember 80 or so.
Okay.
But again, that was sort of just
that was a rough estimate.
discussion. That was sort of just a shooting in the dark of you know, this seems like a good starting amount. You know, and then I think the only other community that the Community Action is working with is, or has been working with for a while, has been the Amherst program. And they've just had a lot of difficulties getting the money out for that program. And so the application that they put in, the Community Action put in, tried to address some of those problems with the Amherst program. Our program was modeled after the Amherst program. Again, there's just the administration of it is going to be what determines, you know, if they're able to just quickly go through the funds, then the cost to administer the program will be significantly less per client served.
Okay, any other questions on this?
I'm excited that I'm glad it's being utilized. So, you know, thanks for the reporting on it. It seems like there is some demand. And so I feel pretty good about what we did to set that program up. Thank you.
I told the council last night there was a couple of negative comments made on Facebook about the program, but the amount of comments positive that responded to those comments was like 100 to 1. I mean, it was incredible that I think the people do support the program. I don't think we have to worry about it. You're going to get the naysayers who don't think our tax money should be doing this, but I had one person, and I won't mention his name, but his comment was, "Why are we doing this?" And I said, "You really want a veteran to be homeless?" And he didn't have a response. So I think we're in good shape with this program. So I'm going to move on to the historic. I'm going to share something here, the records project that Barbara is here to talk about. So Barbara, are you there? I'm going up to the top of the pages here, sorry. I was reading it over. Just so the committee knows, I'm hoping the committee can approve this evening, and I'll say why. It's a small amount, it's $15,000, but also this has been very adequately discussed in phase 1 of the project. So I don't feel like we have to wait the mandatory rule of another meeting. I'd like them to get started on this. And Barbara, can you, and just so everybody knows, the council did approve the $50,000 just recently that the city provided, actually it was out of Cannabis Stabilization Fund money, I believe, impact money, so that the city is paying for the phase for City Hall, correct? It was City Hall, Barbara, right?
Right.
And so this is for Old Town Hall. So Barbara, why don't you explain what this phase is for the meeting, for the members?
Sure. So phase 1 was, which you guys funded for me, did like a survey of all of the spaces all over every nook and cranny. And that did come in under budget. So part of the money that I applied for, I think it came in a little bit less. So out of that report came various recommendations, and they kind of broke it down by building. And because 50 Payson Ave and Old Town Hall have, they have similar records from the same kind of departments. They grouped that together. That is the biggest portion of the project. And it comes to a total of $65,000. 50 of that was approved by City Council, and they're going to start, probably not going to start till April. And they're going to start diving into the basement of 50 Payson. Because we knew that this process was going to take a little longer, that the old town hall was split off from that project, and they're estimating that's going to be about $15,000. And that will be to go through the vault in the town hall and all of the rooms, all the stuff that's over in the town hall. That should be covered by this phase that you guys are looking at right now. And basically they're gonna go through every single box, everything that was on the survey. They'll rebox things, they'll put aside items that are eligible to be destroyed with permission from the state. You know, I think a lot of the things in the vault will be removed from the vault because the old town hall vault is horrible. It's just a terrible shape. And we'll probably move it into a large room, but a lot of it's going to be pared down, and then we'll realize after that what may be eligible for scanning down the road. So that is not included in this phase, but it will be separated out. So as funding allows, it'll be separated, and we can scan things that are eligible to be scanned. So basically, this money will actually start the hands-on work. And you know, if this moves along, it should work out perfectly. They'll start in April with 50 Payson and then move right on over to the town hall. And we are going to be getting a database from this, so we're really going to have a much better handle on where things are, when things are eligible for destruction, you know, all that stuff that we really desperately need. So
Barbara at the council meeting showed a lot of good pictures of Old Town Hall. It is obviously not a place you want to store things. There is a lot of potential water damage, etc. And those pictures really told the story of how we do have to organize all of this. There is still, Barbara, correct me if I'm wrong, we still have some documents that still have to be dealt with at some of the schools. Am I correct?
Well, this will do 50 Payson and the town hall. And then there's another phase with the records in the public safety complex.
Oh, public safety, right.
Which there's more than you think. I mean, it's just a mess. And then the other location was the Council on Aging.
Oh, right, okay.
And then beyond that, looking down the road even further, there are a lot of maps and plans over in the water and the engineering department. Maps and plans are kind of a different ball game than, you know, 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. So that is a later phase, but yeah.
But the goal of this is to make future and even current city department heads and workers to be able to find documents easily and much more efficiently.
Right, right.
And eventually we digitize as much as we can so
right.
that they can find them online. If we have to look up records from, you know, 50 years ago because we want to know what happened historically or anything like that, especially when it comes to planning and things like that. So.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the basement of the town. I doubt that. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that have never been there. Dan, have you ever been to the basement of the old town hall?
I can't say I have. It's not a place I necessarily want to be.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a lot of people that have been there. So if you've never been there, you don't know what's there. And if you don't know what's there, if you need it, it just really we need to deal with that. And that truthfully, that goes for the basement of 50 Payson Ave too. There's a lot of stuff down there that you know, this is a really needed project. And
but we also need space because we're still making documents. We still have to, Barbara showed pictures in 50 Payson where all of the recent ballots are stored. Yeah. And they have to keep the paper ballots forever, right? Or how long do they have to be?
No, only 22 months, and they're all labeled.
Anyway, we're producing more documents. So I think this is a great project. Does any of the members have any questions of Barbara? I'm showing a document here. The Historic Commission does agree with this greatly. So I wanted to show that. I think everybody got that. And the budget is pretty clear. Anybody have any questions?
Greg does.
Greg, sorry.
So just, I'm curious about the document retention policy that's going to, you know, hit. Is that part of this too? Are we developing one?
No, the state has a records retention schedule for all municipal documents. Every single department, if you go online under the Secretary of State's office, there's a whole schedule. Sometimes it's hard to fit things into the schedule, but there are retention periods for like all of the major documents. So what this company, I mean, I know kind of what the retention schedule for things in my office are, but this company knows it a lot better than I do. And sometimes you don't really know where things fit in. So they're not going to throw out anything, but they're going to set aside and help us figure out what may be eligible. And what you have to do is you actually have to fill out an application and you have to send it to the state archives. And they will look through it and make sure that what you've got on the list is actually eligible to be destroyed. And then they'll send it back and then you have that record. And only after you get their permission are you eligible to throw out things. And then if somebody comes looking for something and it was eligible to be destroyed, you have the paper from the state saying that you requested permission and they gave it.
But doesn't the city council have to approve it once it comes back from the state?
What?
I thought the city council had approval process too.
Oh, no, it's the state archives. It's a whole, if you were to go on to the Secretary of State's, there's a municipal records retention schedule for every single department. And and then there's some records in common that, you know, a lot of departments share. So some things you have to keep forever, some things you have to keep for 7 years, some things you know, there's a whole wide range of how long you have to keep things.
So on an annual basis, do you have to keep going back to the state for permission to destroy?
Every time you want to destroy anything that you're able to destroy, you have to request permission. Yep. I mean, to destroy dog licenses, I have to write permission. I mean, there are some things like ballots I can get rid of without requesting permission. And it actually tells you what you don't have to request permission. But basically, like everything else, you have to send this to the state and they have to send it back before you can get rid of it. Yep.
So this company will tell us these documents we've set aside as something you should apply to get destroyed.
Right. And then in an ongoing basis, everything that's in the database, say something comes up on its 7-year period, it will pop up in the database that, oh, you should go to this box in this room because this document you can apply for permission to destroy. So right now, what happens is people take stuff into, you know, the storage rooms and they just close the door and walk away. And then next year they bring down more stuff. People, it's really hard to keep on top of what you can actually get rid of.
Well, that brings up a question. What's going to prevent that from happening after this is all done?
I think that there needs to be limited access to the room where we keep these records.
I would think.
I think that needs to be set up because what's been happening now is people just go down and they put stuff on shelves and, you know, so, but this company also will come back on an annual basis and kind of review things. That's part of the ongoing support that you get from this company.
Is that paid for, or do we have to pay for that every year?
We'll have to pay for it, but it's not that expensive, and it will just, I think it'll be worth it. Yeah.
Anybody else have questions for this?
So question, should part of us approval for this dollar amount be to ask that there's some sort of plan put in place to try to minimize the impact of this happening again?
Well, I think that'll be part of the whole process. Once we get it in good shape, I think that the locks on the doors need to be changed, and people need to come. They'll need to come to either myself or some department to put anything in the room.
I think Andy brings up a good point. Why don't we put a little note in our approval that we recommend strongly that once these documents are taken care of and organized, that a new procedure be made for storage that includes that. We're just going to make the recommendation. We don't have any authority to do anything about it, but I think we can make the recommendation. It is CPA money.
Yeah.
I think the council have the same thought. Somebody say something, Jess?
Yeah, I'm just curious. The database that is being created, is it going to be searchable? So if I'm just thinking like an old planning board decision or something that happened in the 80s that needed to be re-brought up for whatever reason, because that's, I remember going into the archives looking for stuff like that and so if the database had that access, I could see why limiting the room would be a great idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure how, I mean, I don't think that every single page of every single folder is going to be in the database, but it may say like planning board files from 1990 to 1995, I mean, how a box is situated.
And where it's located.
Yep.
Well, that'll make it easier to go find it, right?
Right.
Well, I think definitely, Jamie, do you feel like we could put that into our recommendation, at least a comment about that?
I'm sorry.
Some kind of a comment recommending that procedures be in place once this is done, that access to the storage be carefully dealt with or something?
Sure. Would you want to see that in a grant funding agreement at the next meeting?
Yeah, well, I'm ready to approve this evening. Do you think we need another meeting? Because we've already talked about this before. How do the committee members feel? Do you need more time on this?
Could we approve it as amended?
Yeah, well, what Jamie's talking about is the grant funding agreement is something that Barbara would sign and I would sign. That's not what you're seeing yet. We have to produce that, right, Jamie?
Correct. And if we're having things that are, I mean, we can have a discussion about it, what we want on it, and if you want to.
Well, that's one thing I'd like on it, a recommendation like that.
So I think it's always helpful to have to see what finally comes out at the, and that way the committee can vote on what's being presented. But
you feel we have to wait a month? Because that's 2 months before we get to the council. I don't feel it's necessary myself. So the grant funding agreement would include something regarding how documents would be carefully controlled after this is done, and the room access would be controlled.
Yeah, although that really is outside of the funding of this project, because this company is not going to have anything that will just be a city process that's set up afterwards. It's not really part of anything that King Information Systems will.
No, but we can make the recommendation. We're the funding appropriating authority, and the recommendation, although there's no teeth to it, is simply making people aware of that as a concern of the CPA committee. I don't think that's wrong to put in there.
Right. I think it would be helpful for me down the road to have that.
Exactly. And I think you're probably going to come back to this committee for other things. So we want to make sure that's in there. So that's the only extra thing, Jamie, that might be in the grant funding agreement?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to word that, and it feels kind of nebulous to me. So I would want to
make an attempt.
Right, and so if I'm going to make an attempt at it, then I'd want to bring it back to.
I will make an attempt and send it to you.
She wants us to review it and vote on it, I think is what she's saying.
Well, how does everybody feel? That's another meeting. Does everybody feel you want to do that? Somebody say something. Jess?
Can't we just say that we're going to trust you to be able to put the right verbiage in there and kind of vote based on that?
That would be fine with me.
Works.
We
I'm
could
good
also,
with it.
I think I understand.
It's not a lot of verbiage.
I'm not speaking it very well tonight, but I know what you want. You want to make sure that this doesn't happen again, that people don't just walk in the room and drop a box off. So I'll have to put it in as a recommendation.
I think if I'm hearing you, Jamie, maybe you'd feel comfortable if we just, it sounds like it's not very long, like maybe one sentence or two sentences, but if we took 2 minutes just to figure out exactly what that verbiage was, would you feel more comfortable?
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to share a screen. Just a second.
Are we saying that this is going to be contingent on future funding, or are we just putting it in there? I mean, this is
Just putting a recommendation in, I think.
feels to me like we're overstepping our boundaries a little bit, but I'm willing to roll with it.
Well, it's a recommendation. It's not a. So.
The way the grant funding agreement goes, I mean, these are condition. We have conditions of funding. So.
I don't see why it's a bad condition to make sure that we don't have to pay for this again. Is that too?
I'm not disagreeing with it. I just want to make sure that we're making sure that what gets put into the grant agreement is what the committee wants and what Barbara can live with.
Here, I'm typing this. People tell me what they want to say. Requests.
Respectfully requests.
Okay, there you go.
Or recommends. I mean, or
right.
I was kind of confused on whether we want to make a recommendation or whether we want to make a condition. A condition is very different. I thought what you were saying earlier on.
I think it shouldn't be a condition, it's a recommendation, so it's in everybody's mind. Just a recommendation, but I want it in the agreement. Is that all right?
Right, and the recommendation is to the city, right? That's our audience for this recommendation.
Yes.
Well, it would be a mayoral policy, wouldn't it? Isn't that where this would come down through in terms of the in terms of the channels of authority? Is that we recommend that the city there's a mayoral policy? Isn't there a mayoral policy handbook or something?
No.
No.
Maybe
okay.
Establish procedures for access to the storage spaces or something like that.
Respectfully recommend.
It's not just establish, but also implement. There's one thing to say, hey, this is the way you got to do it. And then there's another thing for people to actually do it.
Yeah,
you can make all the policies in the world that you want, but if nobody follows them, it doesn't make a difference.
See what I'm writing here? I don't know. I am writing. I don't even know if it's a real word.
So tiny, we can't see it.
Really? All right, hold on. I can fix that. How's that?
That's better.
That city policies are put into place to ensure
that the city,
city respectfully recommends that city policies are put into place or are implemented to ensure that future storage and access procedures
prevent storage disorganization. Is that is that okay?
Sure.
Is the storage disorganization, say it right, Barb? I mean, you don't want people to throw boxes in the room.
I guess that can work.
File disorganization.
I want to do this so that the council, when the mayor's there and the council, they hear us say these things. Thank God for spell check. He wouldn't want me to spell anything. Does this line look all right to you, Jamie?
It's not my decision. It's really the committee.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say, I just want this in the grant agreement.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save it and send it to you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Greg, what a great idea.
Sometimes it's a little bit painful, but you know, I think Jamie feels better if we all have a chance to be on the same page about it.
No, that makes sense. And we had to do this at another meeting, and it was easy to type it up when we were typing up questions. We typed them all up as we went, and this is good. All right, thank you, Jessica. Sounds like you write things a lot.
You think?
All right, so I'll send that to you. And any other discussion on this? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve the $15,000.
Right, before we go to that, if I bring up the blank funding agreement,
Okay.
the other things that typically I'd want to know would be what completion date would be, if we want project updates, how often.
All right, bring up that agreement. Barbara, can you answer some of these things?
As far as the completion date, well, they're going to start in April. I'm going to say, you know, it's going to take, I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm going to say it's probably going to take a couple, I mean, if you put by this,
well, take as much time as you need, just we want a date.
Yeah, I mean,
give it a year. That way you've got cushion, knowing that it probably won't take a year, but you know, then you don't have to come back and ask for an extension.
That's overly generous, yes. Yeah.
Oh.
But I mean, I would think by the fall, but
why don't we say June 2022? We have a pandemic. We've got a lot of stuff going on.
Sure.
Just give yourself some time. I mean,
it's done earlier, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
I would want an update. Let's have an update in the fall by the December meeting, maybe. So maybe if they're done, we'll know. Okay.
Sure.
Jamie, an update in the fall.
So you said December or September?
December's fine with me. Or
this is going to be a goofy request, but can we just say June 30th so it just ties in with the end of the fiscal year? I don't know why that feels cleaner to me, but
because you've been in government too long.
I always just choose the date of the third.
Okay, whatever, it's fine.
I'll make it June 16th because that's my birthday.
Okay, we'll leave it on Barbara's birthday then.
Yes, you just outed yourself as OCD. I was the same way. I'm like, June 16th, where does that come from?
It's my birthday.
Can't we round that or something?
Not OCD, it's Virgo. It's all Virgo.
Well, for me, it's OCD. I'm like, where's June 16th? Is that somebody's birthday? What's going on?
I'll just tell
it's Barbara's birthday.
Yeah, I like
all these dates were based on astrology, just so they know what we're doing. Anything else in here, Jamie, that you just
project update just on December 16th. Subsequent updates do.
Make that December date when the meeting is.
That is the December.
Okay, cool.
Third Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Final written report. Project signs or anything? Probably not, because it's a.
There's no signage necessary.
We need a copy of that documentation filed somewhere, though, Barbara. As long as you can find it, we don't need a sign.
Yeah, it'll be someplace. I'll tell you what box it's in.
That's right, exactly.
So you can fill out the rest, Jamie?
Yep.
All right.
And you sent me that.
I didn't send it yet. I will at the end of the meeting.
Okay. And that'll be number 6 will be the insert. Recommendation. Okay. Great. Thank you for doing that.
All right.
Motion?
Let's move on. Oh yeah, we need a motion.
Motion to approve $15,000 for the phase 2 records project as amended.
Second, somebody second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for $15,000 project. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none. Jamie.
All right. Andy.
Aye.
Dan.
Yes.
Ed is absent. Greg.
Aye.
Jay.
Aye.
Jess.
Aye.
John's absent. Harry.
Aye.
And Scott.
Aye.
All right.
Okay.
Motion by a vote of 7 in favor and 2 absent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next thing we got to deal with, and I'm going to bring it up, is the CPA budget.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara, for your time.
Have fun.
Yes, thank you, Barb. So we have to approve this budget this evening, everybody. Jamie has it boxed in here. The actuals are here. This is the adjusted budget that we're currently in.
So if you want,
go over it, Jamie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the difference between the FY21 proposed and adjusted is that we got the state match in. You can see that we, the difference between what we estimated in the state match and what we actually received. And
significant.
Yes, and we knew that, we just didn't know how much the state was gonna actually get from the, with the change to the registry collection fees. So we deliberately estimated low. This year, I'm estimating a total of a 50% match between the round 1 and round 2. But because of the pandemic, we're estimating local revenue receipts to be about 2.5% lower than they were in the past. Typically, I would estimate the local revenue is going to be 2.5% higher every year. So you'll see that the local CPA tax estimate is lower. The trend has been going up every year rather than, and so now we're going down. But that's going to be overall, with the state match being higher, we shouldn't see a drop in the total budget that the CPA has to work with. So if you look at the line that says total CPA budget, it's 562,500, which is higher than we proposed in the previous years, and it does continue the trend of having more revenue for the CPA every year.
I'm just curious about the 25% match. Last year we did 15 in both rounds because we were concerned. Why do you feel they'll go to 50%? What's giving you that optimism?
The Community Preservation Coalition has estimated, I think they said the revenue is, sorry, let me just pull it up. They had said that their revenue was, that's 179% higher than it was in previous years at this point in time.
So you feel confident because of the coalition's estimates?
Yeah, so we're estimating, so I'm estimating a 50% total match, but we're still only basing the budget off of receiving a 25% match. So in last year, we thought we'd get a 30% match in total, but the budget was based off us only receiving a 15% match. And so that's the bottom section, that's the additional revenue, additional possible revenue that's not included in the budget.
Right here?
Yes.
So this is the budget, 562,500. This is estimated possible revenue.
We will get a second and third round match. I just don't know what it is. So
it might be as high as 675.
Correct. And if we do get, so you looked at the FY21, we estimated a total budget of 534,750. We're actually getting, by the time the year is done, we should have 755,000 in total revenue.
Right here.
Correct.
So all of that money goes into our.
Yeah, and actually I made a
goes into the reserve, right?
I made a mistake in the adjusted for FY21 because it should not have actually, oh, sorry, no, that's correct. The revenue is correct, but you'll see that the budget doesn't change. We're still at that 534,750 in the adjusted budget because even though we're still estimating to receive more revenue, that we can't change the budget mid-year.
Yeah, this figure has to stay.
Correct.
But all this extra money goes into our reserve fund, right?
It goes into an account and is credited to the CPA, and at the end of the year, when the books close, it will get it'll get added to the undesignated fund.
That's what I meant, undesignated. Okay. And we're putting again 250 more into the old town hall. That'll put us up to $1 million reserved for that. And this one up, you went up 5,000 for our percent matches, which is more than we're supposed to. We're supposed to do 10%.
Yeah.
And 10% would be 56,000. Am I correct?
Correct. And you'll see again, like, so last year we put in 75,000, but with the, we're actually estimating 755,000. We'll have to either go back and add $550 to each of those lines.
So what I guess she's saying is because of this figure,
exactly,
my cursor here, this figure has to be 10%. So it's supposed to, you have to add $500 to each one or something like that.
Or we will have had to spend the, you have to set aside or spend 10%. So through our supplemental appropriations this year, we'll probably get above the 75,000 in each category.
That's why we spend those categories first. So
correct.
We're above the, so all right, that's easy.
So we should be fine, but at the end of the year we may have to make an adjustment. So that's why the 80, well, that's why I bumped it up to 80,000. Mm-hmm. Just so that we don't have
to. I like those figures going up. Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Sorry, Greg, I wasn't watching. Go ahead.
I mean, this was good. So thank you for preparing it and kind of walking us through it. Is fiscal 2020 not final? Like, we don't have actual numbers for fiscal 2020 at this point? It says adjusted, but yep. Are those good numbers? I mean, I
have not received the actual numbers from FY20 yet. I don't know if, it's been hard this year to get information. I'm not in the office regularly and coordinating with different people. It used to be just, you'd walk upstairs and you'd say, hey, what's this thing? And now it's, 25 minutes.
Talk to, it would be good. I think Greg's pointing something out before we submit this.
Yes, I did put in a request to Jen to get that information. I have not had a chance to look at what she's
I'll make a note to talk to her just to say that once this becomes part of the budget, these figures will be adjusted before they go to the full council.
Yeah, and if the committee tonight votes on the proposed piece of it, when I submit it to to Jen and the mayor on behalf of the committee, I will update the FY20 actual if I can get those numbers before
I just want to make sure the council has them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just so one other question, you were talking about a slight dip in CPA revenue, you know, from like local revenue. And what are we saying that is anticipated to be from? Just people, is that people not paying it, or they're opting out, or property values declining? Like why would it go down?
When the mayor sent out the budget, her budget letter, she asked every department to submit a 2.5% reduction based off of the anticipation of having a reduced budget, but without saying explicitly that, you know, just so that way we're not, I guess, in a position where midway through the year we realize that we're lower than we're expecting. So.
And that's where you chose to do it. In other words, if we get more money, and I think it will be more than the 465 that we got this year,
yeah,
that just goes to the undesignated fund, as does all this revenue if we get it.
Right.
Gotcha. I just didn't know if there was some macro reason, you know, that was happening in our community that, you know, aside from just
well, I think
budget,
you bring up a
lower
good
budget levels.
I think you bring up a good point, because didn't we just take as a community, didn't we just take a vote to exempt an additional population of seniors from the CPA tax? And
yeah,
that
but
did
that's
pass.
estimated to be very high, Jess.
Okay.
25, 30,000 maybe, but that is a good point. That is in there. So having this lower gives us a cushion.
Great, thank you.
But I am excited about these figures from the state. That would be great if we get the 50% total match.
Yeah.
And the coalition is usually pretty accurate in their estimates. So any other questions on the budget? We just need to approve it to be sent to the mayor and the treasurer. All right, can I have a motion to approve the budget, the FY22 proposed budget?
I move to propose to approve the fiscal 22 budget as proposed.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve your proposed budget of $562,500. Any further discussion? Jamie.
Andy.
Andy.
All right, we'll come back to Dan.
Yes.
Greg.
Aye.
Jay.
Aye.
Jess.
Aye.
Harry.
Aye.
Scott.
You're still muted.
Aye. Sorry.
And Andy.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Aye.
Okay, and then Ed and John are still absent. Motion passes 7 in favor, none against.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the open space and recreation plan. I would inform the committee that I did approve on the committee's behalf. The reason the plan had to be approved is Jeff told me there was a grant or a deadline on it that was yesterday, and we should have approved this plan in December, but we didn't have a meeting. So I told them that I would certainly recommend it on behalf of the CPA committee, because we have to have this plan in place. And Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, we have to have this plan in place in order to get grants in the future.
Yeah, there's a number of, yep, there's a number of state grants that require us to have an active open space and recreation plan. So this will make sure that we're still eligible to apply for those grants.
Is there any question on that? I mean, I don't know. I looked at the open space plan. The city council approved it as well. So But if you have any questions, you can ask Jeff about it or read the website. Anybody have any questions on that? No, okay. Do we need to approve the meetings? I think the meetings were, everybody see the meetings? I think that's just a point of information, right, Jamie?
Yep.
For this year, the rest of the meetings, third Thursday of the month?
Yeah, 6:15 seems to work for everyone.
Okay. Everybody okay? I don't think that I did. Do you have anything else, Jamie? Next meeting is March 18th.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And thank you all for putting up with me being late, but you know, that was pretty exciting seeing Perseverance land. I mean, that was pretty cool. Anyway, Jamie.
Dan, if you want, we could make it 6:30 if it's easier for you.
No, I would have missed it.
That was just a joke. It was a joke.
I was watching it recorded. I would have missed it anyway. It happened at 3 o'clock.
Coming back from Jupiter takes longer, you know.
I knew you were a space guy. All right, can I have a vote there, Jamie?
Yeah.
I'm adjourning.
Andy.
Aye.
Right. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Greg.
Aye.
Jay.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Harry.
Aye.
Scott.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Good night.
You too. Good night.